Well, I'm just a girl from Colombia. I came here to United States almost 20 years ago from a girl that didn't have a mother, a dad, that it was at one point by her own, being a very young girl. I came to this country on my own.
Running an internal operation in support of an American public affairs team.
No one is really safe in Colombia from drug cartel assassins that is driving the U.S. to do far more for that country than anyone anticipated just 2 weeks.
It was a very rough and tough time in Colombia, and when it was one of the most dangerous places in the world. Sometimes we have nothing besides our faith and what we believe in.
By the way, is it Medellin or Medellin?
Medellin.
Okay, well, Medellin. Okay. Sorry, I watch too much Narcos on TV. Paola Meinzer is the founder of Latina Executive Golf Organization and LEAN, which stands for the Latina Executive and Entrepreneur Network. She has over 15 years of experience in the corporate and private sectors, where she has thrived in the areas of marketing, business development, and public relations. Some additional highlights about Paola is that she has immigrated from Colombia to the United States. Paola is a devoted mother, also a podcaster, and she has been effective in bridging cultures and highlighting Latina women's successes in the United States. We had the good fortune of meeting in Chicago. And since then, to be honest, everyone, she has, to me, most importantly, become my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Paola, for being here on the Not A Grayman podcast. You are indeed not a gray man. Not being a gray man is not gender specific. Gray man is actually a noun. So I would love to kind of get your backstory and start with, who is Paola? How did you grow up? What was your family life like? And talk to me a little bit about the experience of growing up in Colombia.
I'm so excited right now to see you doing this amazing work. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I am truly thankful that you consider me to be in your podcast. So I guess I'm feeling cool right now. So thank you so much for the invitation. And a little bit about me. I tell people I'm just a girl from Colombia. I came here to United States almost 20 years ago. I came when I was 3. No, I'm just kidding, of course.
You're like, oh my gosh.
Paola, we're not lying in this podcast.
No, we're total straight talk over here. But we grew up around the same age, yes. And for what it's worth, I mean, you look amazing. You're like so really just so stand out. Yeah.
Thank you. So yes, I just came here just following a dream. And thank God I came to make my American dream come true. And so far I can say that I feel that I am definitely on the right track.
Can you tell me a little about like your family life? We're both moms. Mm-hmm. What was your mom like?
Okay, so that is interesting that you are asking that, because I'm a very private person, so I really do not like to share a lot of things about me. I was told since I was very young that you should not share about your personal life, because I guess that is part of just not making people feel sorry for yourself, or just you needed to keep your private life private. So I always had kept my private life very to myself. So my past has not been part of my introduction letter. I have kept, like I mentioned, many things, and one of them, it's kind of that way that I was grown, how I grew up. So for instance, specific about my mom, I never met my mother. I grew up with my dad. And I lost my dad when I was very young as well. It wasn't easy, but everything happened in life with a purpose of bringing you to a different level. And you cannot live through all of those hurts in pity of yourself. You have to just grow out of whatever circumstances, whatever doesn't kill you, make you stronger. And I think that one way or another, God had always been there and showing me the way and giving me the strength that I need. And all of those situations have helped me to become who I am right now. I think that many of the things that happen to us, hopefully for many people as well have experienced this, that for becoming more human. For me, I feel that I'm more sympathetic because I know what it is to be in situations where sometimes we have nothing besides our faith and what we believe in. I believe in God. And that makes me, once again, more human and give me that opportunity to be understanding of others' pains and just realize that we all have gone through things, but we just grow up from them, and that's what I love, to connect with people.
You have such a sympathetic ear, and it's very warm, and you're a positive person who brings comfort to the person that is opening up to you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you so much for that.
Thank you.
So, I also feel like, I know that you've done so much in your life. You are one of the leaders and pillars in the community. I'd love to kind of go back to like the beginning of your professional journey. It seems to me that, in there is somebody that carved her own way, and, listening to you talk about the loss that you experienced as a child, almost, kind of forced you to find yourself and find your contribution to society. So when you were in Colombia, you were running an internal operation in support of an American public affairs team under the US government, and you did help unify the message against terrorists and malaligned or bad actors in your home country at the time. Can you talk to me about how you ended up there? What drove you to make that type of a difference for your community? And it seems to me that that's really where your seed began in terms of making the world a better place for your community.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that, because that happened so many months ago that I was so surprised when I actually even have forgotten about that part of my life, which is very interesting because you just opened that chapter right now for me, which is very interesting because I did learn a lot. It actually also helped to craft the person, once again, that I am today. I learned a lot. I did not have, to be honest with you, I don't know if I had the credentials to be in that position, but for, just destiny situations, I was recommended to support this public affairs organization that it came to support the Plan Colombia back then. And I was basically working for them just to support in any shape or form that they requested, from help with internal communication, external communication, and just helping to run some of the operation internally, just logistics and things of that nature. Their role was to create a unified voice to let everybody knows. A lot of the world had back then the eyes on Colombia because with the situation that we were living. So definitely learn a lot, helped me to grow as a person, as a professional. So it was a beautiful experience, but at the same time, it kind of shaped who I was and who I have become. Of course, I grew up in Colombia in a time and place where Colombia was one of the most dangerous places in the world.
For 52 years, the Colombian government has been fighting a civil war against the FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, Marxist leftist guerrilla organization that has been bloody and horrible, has cost over 220,000 lives and displaced over 5 million people.
And have the opportunity to see firsthand what was going on in our towns and see what was going on within the country. It was very painful, but also we always had to keep faith that things will change, and we're trying once again to unify a positive outcome. And I learned a lot, but at the same time, and to the point that I'd finished my contract with them, and I actually moved here to United States. Shortly after that, I needed to take a break, mentally break, from all of the things that I kind of saw and experienced, because of course there was things that can bring you down, just having to witness firsthand many things. So with that being said, I always have been a very positive person, and I have grown my life to being a fighter, and I know that if you have faith, things sooner or later will change, and I always have think that way, thank God. But I needed to take a break from news, from anything that it has to do with, from basically identifying what's going on throughout the world. I needed to have my own space to just start seeing just the beauty in life and not just the things that I look. And I moved to this beautiful country where they have so much to bring, and it has so many opportunities for immigrants, that I just came. I wanted to start with a fresh, have a fresh start, and I just started a different career in my life and a new journey, and thank God I kept that positive attitude that to this date, I'm just thankful that now I can look back and just remember the learnings and be appreciative of everything what life brings you. And I can testify that once again, if you had the faith, that you have the hope, and then you do the right thing, sooner or later the things turn around.
Wow, Paola, I admire your tenacity and your ability to reinvent yourself. I know you to be such a positive person. Probably everyone knows you to be a very positive person in spite of the hardship and difficulties that you have faced in life. So do you think that faith gives the light in really dark places?
I don't think, I am certain 100%, because if it wouldn't be for the faith that I have in God, I would not be in here, because that was the only thing that at one point I could grasp. So I didn't have anything besides that in my hands. And it was not just one time, many times. And God keeps delivering and open the doors and giving me the strength. So to your question, I don't think I am 100% certain, and that what keeps helping me moving forward and helping me to just be bold in life. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if things work out, great. If not, there's going to be another door that God would open, and it's not going to be the end of it. And there's going to be more opportunities as long, once again, as we can continue having the right attitude. So yes.
Yeah, it is definitely an attitude, and you embrace it so well. I feel as well like people like yourself that are able to, what's the word I'm looking for? People always say discover your purpose, but no, when you think about it from the context of faith, I feel like it's more surrender to your purpose. So, here you are now with an opened opportunity to come to the United States. You need to escape from the trauma that you've endured in Medellin. By the way, is it Medellin or Medellin?
Medellin.
Okay, well, Medellin. Okay. Sorry, I watch too much Narcos on TV that I just keep saying Medellin. But is that, just curious, is that the Colombians say Medellin and everyone else says Medellin, or is that just bad American accent?
It's the American accent. It's Medellin.
Okay.
L-L-I-N. It's like a white American white. It's Medellin.
Okay. No, yes. Thanks for setting the record straight. But so then, of all places, you moved to a small town in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about that experience. I mean, presumably coming from Medellin to now small town in Ohio, it must have been quite a culture shock. I can't imagine the daunting feeling of coming here, immigrating alone. Did you come by yourself or with family?
Yes, it's a little bit of a combination. So just a little bit of background. I have been blessed throughout my life that I have the opportunity to travel and live in different places. Since I was very young, I mentioned I grew up without parents, so my relatives have sent me to study in different places. So I have that. I have the opportunity to live in different places like Costa Rica and Argentina. I was sent to a boarding school, and it was a beautiful experience. So I have learned to always adapt. I think that that's very key as well. It's one of those components of being able to move forward and then just continue growing is that opportunity, or not opportunity, the flexibility to adapt to your circumstances and your surroundings. I think that has been key as well for me. I always embrace any circumstances, even the good, the bad. I try to always, and even in a funny way, embrace any circumstances and laugh at situations. So when I moved here, I first moved to Florida because I have family over there. But shortly after, I moved to Ohio. And yes, I got married and I moved to a little town, and it was interesting, but I was in my journey to embrace my reality and my new life. And like I said, I always trying to see those positive things. But that's one of the times in my life, I guess, that I felt, and I think I have shared this before, I felt like for the first time being an immigrant. Because when I live in Argentina or in Costa Rica, it was my same culture or Latin culture. When I was in Florida, everybody's Latino in Florida. So I didn't feel like I was moving anywhere, and I was there for a little period of time. But when I moved to the Midwest, definitely it was the cultural shocking that I have experienced for the first time in my life. First, because of the language. I still have this heavy accent. There's nothing that I can do besides embrace it.
It is hot, by the way. Are you kidding me? It is hot. And also, just to let you know, I benchmarked with all of my Latin speaking friends. And I was like, what is the sexiest accent? Because I would love to learn Spanish one day. I was like, what is the sexiest sounding accent? I was like, is it Mexican? And it's like, no, Mexican's kind of neutral. I always wanted to learn Argentinian Spanish, but they said, it's a little bit, pompous a little bit. But then the consensus is Colombian. And I was like, okay, well, what kind of Colombian? Because, you have Shakira Colombian or blah, blah. Yeah. And it's Medellin Colombian.
Thank you so much. And I wish I would have the confidence or somebody would tell me that, because one of the things that it made me feel self-conscious it's knowing that I have that heavy accent. And I felt that at one point that was kind of a barrier for me in my business career. For instance, every time I had to host a presentation or give a speech, oh my goodness, I didn't sleep for a week, just thinking, oh my God, people are going to be able to understand me. It really was one of those things that I knew that sooner or later I need to figure it out. But you know what? Actually, that also helped me to become who I am. In some way, somehow, I learned to respect that that's part of who I am. And now I actually tell people that it's part of my charm. So yeah, you're right. I say it's part of my charm. It is. Although I'm just telling that myself. But it wasn't easy. Like really, it's one of those things that you realize, but also you need to embrace. So it was a funny, a little harsh, but also needed transition, that understanding that was part of who I am. And as much as I want to change that, I'm just going to continue to embrace it. So you're stuck with my accent.
Embrace it. Please don't change it. Okay. You mentioned a little bit about the private sector. When you arrive in Florida, did you end up working, or you mentioned that you had family, but it sounds like you have always had to kind of pave your own way in life. Yeah. So what was the career experience there?
So when I moved to Florida, I didn't really work. I was there for not such a long period of time. I was maybe for less than a year when I just actually moved. So I think I took a leap year because I would just have moved here. I didn't know what was my next, steps. So I had the opportunity to stay with my family. And that's when I met my ex-husband. That's when we moved to a smaller town. And yes, that's when I actually start the steps on my business career. But I got married and I got pregnant, and I was just juggling that situation of being a mom, a new mom, and then having, a family. I brought my older daughter. I had two beautiful daughters. My first daughter I had in Colombia. I was able to bring her here with me, and so then I have my baby, which is she is a beautiful girl as well. Both of them are beautiful. So that's when I start my business career. Once my youngest girl start getting older, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to start a different journey. I'm being a mom, being a wife. Now I need to start going back to my business career because I always have that within me. I love to be involved in things. I love to see things grow. I like to be part of something a little bigger than myself. And that's when I started my business career again.
Amazing. I just want to just comment, when you talk about your daughters, you just glow. You're already so beautiful, but when you talk about your daughters, the glow just comes to your face. And I could just see you reminiscing about when you brought your daughter here or when you had your youngest. So, you mentioned before the need to sort of have to disconnect from the news and from the tragedies of the world that we live in. And one would presume there's no better place than small town Ohio to do such a thing and keep you occupied with a newborn as well. I know you have an undergrad in psychology. Yeah. Did you end up working in the psychology field, or what drove you to study psychology?
It's actually, it was a very selfish decision to study psychology, not really because I want to become a psychologist to help others. I think that I did it because I want to save myself a lot of money on therapy. I mean, and it's a lot of truth within this because I've seen so many things through life, like human beings, behavior. I couldn't understand many things that we all have to go through, and that we see in this world, that really from a place of I need to understand why people think the way they do, because it was out of my comprehension how things sometimes can just turn so wrong. And I really wanted to invest the money. We all know that school is not that cheap, but you need to invest. So I'm like, if I'm going to invest this money, it's going to be for something that is going to build me as a person. I could have decided to go for business, but I was already in business, and thank God I was already thriving. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this for myself. And if I'm going to invest the time and the money, is going to be something that is going to help me as a human being to understand better, not just myself, but also others. So that was the really reason behind what I decided to study psychology.
I love it. I love it. I'm very similar to you as well. I just, I wanted to understand what makes humans behave the way they do. It makes sense though as well, like when you think of your past with sort of a hand in psychological operations, to have that type of background as well. So that's very, very cool. So you mentioned as well, like, the ability to study business or something like that. But I do believe that there are many people, like, I'm just going to throw out a number. This isn't an actual figure, but like, let's say 90% of people that study business end up in some sort of managerial job or some type of corporate function. But there are a few that are truly entrepreneurial. And I think that is just something in your nature. Do you believe that, or is entrepreneurship taught?
No, I think that it's something that is within. It's you understand that there is the opportunities, there is that that is an option, right? That if you want to, if you put your head into, if you follow that calling, that dream within you, that it can happen. And it's more important to, at least for me, knowing that I'm here in this land of opportunities, because once again, as an immigrant, not just me, but many of us can testify that this is a land of opportunities. So with that being said, I feel that I am living my American dream, because I've been able to do many things that I maybe not just in my wild dreams, but that was within here, and in some way, somehow, they had happened, and this is just the beginning. I'm hope for more. I mean, God has given me the opportunity to overcome so many things, and I just enjoy it. As long as I enjoy it and I believe in what I do, the sky is the limit. So we'll see what God continue to bring to my head. But so far, so good. But I definitely believe and encourage people just to go after their dreams, because it's just a matter of attitude. And over here, where we still live in this amazing country, there's still a lot of opportunities to make it happen.
I believe that God puts people in your path that really are meant to help in delivering that purpose that we talked about earlier. I believe there's a reason that we met.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that, and I feel very blessed to know you. So, you know, when you were talking about entrepreneurship, you catch those opportunities. The entrepreneur catches the opportunities. They're constantly thinking like, oh, that could be a business. But what makes somebody successful is their ability to like execute on that idea, on that thought. And when it's coupled with your purpose, all the better.
Yeah, that's true.
There's something else I admire so much about you, and it is your patriotism. You love this country. You love the United States for the opportunity that it's given you. You embrace that you are an immigrant. Everybody has immigrated to this country for the most part. Can you talk to me a bit about the thoughts that you have on immigrants embracing that as a motivator for them to succeed in this land of opportunity? And talk to me about the experience of how you've managed to do that. You actually do it on your own merit. So what are your thoughts on diversity, inclusion, the immigrant experience, if you wouldn't mind talking about that, and where this patriotism comes from?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely embrace the space that has been given to D&I within corporate of America, absolutely, because we were at one point where there was not considered. And we know that if we all feel included, we can feel that we're part of, and we're going to do things with love and believing that you are part of something, right, bigger than yourself. And I think that D&I have brought that. So I think it's a great tool, and it's a great. It's a great space that has been created. At the same time, I believe that, like you said, I am very thankful to come to this country of opportunities, and I am thankful for how I have been feel welcome in this country as well, and because of that, I feel that I need to respect as well the basis of this country, because I want to have my house. If I'm inviting people to come to my house, I want to feel as a part of that appreciation is that people at least respect, the things that I have to offer. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's more, that's the way that I look. I mean, just everything is started at home. If you have a home and you open the doors for someone, I think that it's good to respect certain rules, certain things. But at the same time, as a host of the house, I like to also make people are coming welcome, and I'm going to create opportunities to make them feel at home as well. So it's a balance within both words. And I think if we can bring that balance, we have a beautiful beautiful business community and just a beautiful place that we can call home here in the United States.
You're a leader in the Latin business community. I'm sure you share, and this message resonates with so many people. Could you talk to me about the unique characteristics of like holding on to cultural roots, and also how you're able to like assimilate? If you could give a glimpse into that side of what is coming up in the pipelines.
So I think that it's something that just in the last couple of years had been embraced or has been with purpose being implemented. I think that it started to happen holistically. I don't think that we come out just like, oh, let's create this just because of that. But there's so many wonderful leaders in my community. There's so many ladies that have paved the path for Latinas like myself. But I think that in the last couple of years, that's when I think that just had been a more structure, like become more mentors and creative programs just to embrace. I think that one of the things that are important, at least for me, it's embrace who we are, because that's what it makes us unique, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, assimilate or just also just be open to be part of the bigger picture, right? So I think that in general, that's the way that I see it happening. And right now, the beauty of the new generations is that they have both words, you know, like best of both worlds, that as an individual, you can pick whatever it makes sense for you, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think that it's beautiful that for these younger generations, they have the background, the cultures that maybe are part when they were growing up in their new life, or mm-hmm. the new this new generation. They're gonna bring things on their own as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's like in DNA. In your DNA, you know that you have, you know, just throughout the process of just through your children to your generations, you pass your genes and your characteristics. Same thing where those characteristics, when it becomes about traditions, about what it makes us, unique, I guess. So for me, it's just exciting to see the blend, but also knowing that we're always gonna have things that we can go back to respect mm-hmm. and embrace when we need to. And I don't know, I think it's a beautiful blend. I told you, I'm just a very optimistic person, and I always trying to see the positive in everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, oftentimes we use the term sort of loosely, like assimilate, but I think what I'm actually trying to say is contribute. Because you're right, everyone comes with their heritage. Everyone comes hopefully with bringing the best traits of their culture into the United States. It's a fabric that is ever evolving. And as listening to you talk about our children and their generation, the sort of nation's DNA has transformed over the years, hopefully for the better. Okay. Now it'll be very interesting to see with the advent of AI, what that future is going to look like. I certainly appreciate, when we were growing up, it was sort of a technological era. We had the internet, and the world became much smaller, and we were able to connect with people much easier. These things, I think, are wonderful for our future generations, because what it did for us, at least, is make the world more accessible for us. And you mentioned traveling a lot when you were young. Certainly that was the situation for me as well. It just made everything more at your fingertips. Yes. And every place that you go and every person you interact with, I'm excited for the future of the United States. I'm also, like you, positive. When you think of the macro picture, I think that change is constant, change is good, change is inevitable. And let's just hope that we're bringing the best of that into the future.
Yeah.
But the best of our past into our future, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's evolution, one way or another. But human race seems to continue just thriving, and we always finding the way.
You and I, at one point, we bonded when we first met. I think when we first met, we were like, oh, you know, I think I saw like a picture of you golfing or something. And I was like, oh my God, like Paola, we have to go golfing. I love the fact that you golf. You're one of the few women. This is honestly, like, I know there are women that golf, but not enough do. The reason I took on golfing was because I was on a leadership team and I wanted to be invited on the greens with all the men talking about the strategic vision of the company and blah, 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 blah. And if I wasn't going to be out there, then I was going to miss out on my contributions in that discussion. It opened up tremendous opportunities for me to be that girl that was able to, you know, hold her weight on the greens. And so you established, you know, this golf network for the Latina community. How did you come across golf, first of all? And then I love that you extended it to your community because you saw it as an opportunity to open a door. Thank you very much in your words. So tell me about that.
Yes, thank you for asking about that, because that's one of the things that are bringing a lot of smile to my face. I did not grow up in a golf course, and I think that everything happened very, I don't know, it was very unexpected. It was not that I had that plan. I started an organization that you mentioned earlier, Lean, and I used to host with my ex-business partners. We used to host events and to bring women together and to collaborate. And then when COVID happened, we were trying to figure out ways to continue getting together. And part of my mission has been to open doors for women in different areas or just learn new skills to be able to continue go professionally, right? And one of the things that was a perfect storm, because that was one of the only spaces that we could still get together, which is the outdoors, right? And what was a tool that it was related to business? Golf.
Wow. Good job. That's awesome. That's like, you know, long-term strategic thinking right there. I love it.
I guess, but it was very, once again, it was a pivoted moment, basically. It was not within the plan, like, oh, this is going to happen. And I think that that's how we all grow up from things. Yeah. How can we find opportunities to grow? In different areas. And in this case, my story with golf, I used to work for Corporate of America, and I used to sponsor a lot of golf outings. And I tell people, which is true, I used to be the designated driver. So that was pretty much what I did. Oh, yeah. I never felt the confidence to hold, one of the clubs, and I'll just sit in my, chair now. No, that's okay. I'll drive. I'm the designated driver, and I keep it very light. But it was, of course, because I didn't know how to golf and I didn't have the confidence. So when all this happened, it was an eye opener. Like, okay, this is one of the things that we can still use as a tool to bring women together, to continue networking, and to sharpen our skills in an area that we have not been tapping before in a more serious ways and organized way. So it happened, once again, just very, very holistic. We start getting together, and next thing, the organization itself, we all kind of get on our own ways, and I found that this was one of the things that I really needed to push, because that's such a great tool for business, for career advancement, for just personal development, professional development, a great area to network. So whatever you look at it, there's so many reasons that I believe that it's important to be engaged if you're in business. And just in general, I have learned to have so much respect for the game. I'm not the best golfer, so sorry. Let me bring you the news. I'm not the best golfer out there.
Neither of us, but you're out there enjoying it, right?
I'm there enjoying it. And once again, the mission of my organization is not to become or to find the next LPGA. It's just to give the women the confidence to come into that golf space, knowing at least the etiquette of the game and knowing what is the basics when it becomes about attending a golf outing and just being part of those business opportunities. Like you said, you wanted to be in the golf course because I hear so many stories of women in the workplace where the gentlemen go to the golf outing and the women stay at the office. And who get promoted? Those men that got the opportunity to work or to spend that time with that. And also even for business development itself. I heard one of the ladies sharing that her boss used to send the males to the golf outings, and when she kind of complained about it, say, no problem, I will pay so you can go to a spa. And her answer was, who am I going to find in a spot to do business with? I need to be in those courses when I'm going to be making the connections that I need to make.
Cringe.
And so many stories that it just continue reinforcing what I need to continue pushing this envelope. So as a matter of fact, I actually rebrand the name. So I started very holistically. It's a Latina Executive Golf organization, and I rebranded to LEX Golf. And LEX Golf because I want to make it feel more inclusion. I have so many women like, oh, so just for Latina? And I'm like, absolutely not. It just happened, once again, because that was my beginning, but I have rebranded to LEX Golf. And I like that if women feel like more compelled to, okay, this is for me as well. I'm like, absolutely. So it's just open to anyone that wants to be part of the fun.
Oh, I love that.
So
I love that. Yeah, it is so inclusive. And I love your ability to pivot always in life, just kind of take a situation. Okay. Let's meet the match, and then you take it up a notch, every time, which is so cool.
I think that sometimes going back to those questions where we start our conversation, sometimes that pivoting, it was not an option. It was my only choice.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just the survival mode that, good or bad, had become part of who I am. So I try to find a way to make things work. And I think that women are in general that way anyways. Yeah. We're always trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Like earlier, you're like, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And you did. So, but we always, I think that is a beautiful, a beautiful characteristic to embrace.
Yeah.
Because when somebody tells you, I don't think you can do this, I'll turn and I say, watch me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yes, that's the motto.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just the little fighter on me, because once again, it just came from a survivor mentality.
You mentioned that you were traveling a lot as a child.
Yeah.
Was that something that you wanted, or was it family sort of moving you around?
Yeah, it wasn't anything that it was my choice. But once again, just looking back, thank God I had those opportunities. It was my family choice. Like I can share with you, I didn't have parents. I did grow up with my family because my parents, I lost them when I was very young. So I didn't have the opportunity to grow with my siblings, with my brothers and sisters, because they were living with their mom, and I was in Colombia living with my dad of the side, so the family. So that side of the family had the one that were raising me. So the choice was not mine to travel, but I'm very thankful for that, once again, because that gave me the opportunity to start exploring the world. And once again, I just embrace every time that I was sent to a different place. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, I live in Argentina. I live in a little town called Balcarce. I was in a boarding school. I thought at one moment that was the worst thing that could happen to me because I was a teenager, but it ended up being one of the most amazing years of my life. Same thing when I moved to Costa Rica. I lived over there. I lived actually there several times. I came back to Colombia, then I went back when I was older. So, and then I lived here in the United States when I was very young as well, but for very short periods of times. And I've been traveling pretty much all my life, which is good and is bad, but that once again have made me the person that I am. That's why I'm always open to embrace new people and cultures and respect as well. Everyone's opinion and backgrounds. Because yes, I mean, that's the beauty that we all bring, our uniqueness. So
absolutely. And, those were formative years for you.
Yeah.
I went to boarding school as well.
I did not know.
Yeah.
We need to talk sometime about that.
I loved it. I loved the experience.
Me too. That's what I said in Argentina.
I feel like it wasn't the only thing. Many things made me the person that I am today, but I think that it's harnessed like that feminine power. And so let's talk about that feminine power. If I can sort of go on a tangent a little bit.
Yeah.
You are so feminine. I think that's also why we clicked, because I'm like, I like her energy. So what do you think of femininity and business? And how does one embrace being so feminine, that feminine energy and like gorgeous and being able to hold that, but also being a boss in the boardroom?
I mean, for me, I embrace who I am, and I am thankful I'm a woman, and I'm going to continue to embrace that. And it's good that you respect that, who you are, but at the same time, you need to bring your tough guy if you need to, and make your boundaries be respected. And you do not have to become a man or change to an aggressive approach. I think that if you have gained their respect because of what you have brought to the table, you have the right to also put your boundaries and what you want and what you do not want. And I think that it's just a matter of just make sure that others respect who you are, not because we're feminine and nice means that we're going to allow others to walk on us. Yes. So I think that it's sweet as we can be. It's important also to clench our pulse if we need to stay within our grounds to be respected as a human being, as a woman, as in the professionals that we are when we are in those positions. For me, being feminine has nothing to do with me use it as a tool for anything. It's just who I am, because it's just
your
Paola.
nature.
Yeah, it's my nature.
That's like
and I embrace it. You know, I do not want to be the guy. I do not want to be the top guy. I do not want to be the man. I think that we all design in our own way for a reason. And I feel very blessed to be a woman, and I embrace my femininity and my womanhood. So I do not use that on purpose to get advantage in any shape or form. I have been though in the spaces where I work with a lot of gentlemen, and actually I have had to fight more to be that or to gain that respect, because I have been working in the past and just with males, for instance. I have worked with teams that there is 10, 12 male and there's just 2 ladies in the room. Yeah. So I have learned to continue being myself, but at the same time through results or to just that professional personality, just being able to just gain the respect. For instance, sometimes in a workplace or just in life in general, unfortunately, there's women that do not always agree to certain things. And this is just a reality, unfortunately. I'm not going to say, no, there's no women that, no, you sometimes have those haters out there.
Yeah.
And there's a song that I say, because haters are going to hate. As
the famous philosopher once said, it comes down to confidence. If you're sure of yourself, you tend to want to uplift other women. And certainly you're doing that with the networks and the organizations that you've created. You've uplifted, you've empowered women, you've shared your own stories of triumph and hardship, both to help them with the next generation to be able to come up in your footsteps and continue to, do that transformative, that transformative thing that we talked about earlier, of the immigrant experience, for example, or women in general. I really want to leave the wisdoms that we've been able to gain from our own engagements, experiences, encounters with people. And every now and then you come across people that have really stood out from the crowd. They are not a gray man. I think there is also a desire that I have to sort of index the experiences that humans have had in the history of our world. And so the reason I think of that is because of the rapidly evolving world of AI and what that might look like. I'm very futuristic in the way that I think and things. And so I just want to capture the human wisdom and the human experience for our future generations. So if we can go back to Colombia, can we talk about what was going on to the world of a young girl in Medellin? There's a personal sort of intrinsic experience. And then also there's a macro view of what's happening in your country and the hardships that you're experiencing collectively as Colombians. Yeah. Can you talk to me about those two?
I try not to be emotional about these things because I want to speak of a place of strength that I was able to develop because of all of those things that happened to me. So with that being said, and coming back to the point that I want to convey is that it was a very rough and tough time in place where I grew up. I grew up in Colombia, and when it was one of the most dangerous places in the world. Actually, I think that I saw in one of the Simpsons cartoons that they were mentioned that, one of the most dangerous places in the world, Colombia. And I was very young when I saw that. And I'm been there, done it. So it was a very rough time. And I did not have parents, and I had to see and live and witness on the day-to-day what was going on in my surroundings. But at the same time, I think that that's when I started to develop that resilience of believing and hoping and have that faith. Mm-hmm. And not having those parents have turned me into not look around and look up. And I think that that's where I start finding my faith. And once again, to this date, I look back and I say, if I survive this, if I survive that, there's always going to be challenges. Believe me, every day we all face challenges. Mm-hmm. And because I live this level of challenge and the pain, it doesn't mean that somebody that lives a different pain do not feel the same pain because it's on a different level. So for me, pain is pain because we all live it and we all feel it to ourselves, at any level. But that's one of the things that it makes me compassionate and it makes me feel empathetic with other human beings, especially a woman. That is my motivation to do many of the things that I do. Through the organization and to the things that I do, because I feel what it is, all that I learned. But going back to your question, Colombia, yes, it was a rough time and place, like many other countries, of course, living up to this date, right? Because this unfortunately place is called Earth have all these places, unfortunately, and all of these things that that we had to live in history, place and time, one way or another, right? So it was rough, but I was able to survive it through the faith and through that spirit of being positive and believe to a better future that I'm still feel like to. Even when things are great, I know they're gonna get even better, or at least I know that if they're not better for me, I can make it better for somebody else.
ABC's Peter Collins is in Medellin.
Today in Medellin, military police were patrolling the streets looking for bombers. Last night, terrorists said to be working for the Medellin cartel were trying to put in place these rockets for an attack on a government-owned distillery when the attempt was broken up by security guards. 13 bombs have gone off in Medellin since the weekend, all aimed at government-owned banks or state liquor stores.
We are living in a situation now when one doesn't know when the bomb is going to be for you.
Since my younger years, when I have facing many things in life, the loss once again of my dad, going through, just being very young and going to situations, I'd have adults that it would tell me, stop crying in front of people, or do not share this with anyone. This is something that you need to keep to yourself. And
What, like the passing of your dad?
Yes, the passing of my dad, or me feeling heartbroken, and hurt for, just for my surroundings, for anything that it was going on, when I was younger. So I've learned, I think I will not tell my kids, do not express your feelings. We actually embraced to share our feelings. In my case, it was different. But once again, those are things that you just learn to deal in life and heal. And right now, as an adult, at this point in my life, I'm starting to open these doors to share about these things, because now it's not just about me anymore. I have a beautiful, blessed life that I'm living right now. God had definitely delivered all the promises that he has given me. And right now I can speak on this because I want to let those people that are out there suffering and going through tough times, that it's just a time, it's just a period, as long as you have that faith.
Yeah.
And then you develop that resilience that we all have. I don't have nothing special. It's just something that it start growing because I believe for a better. I changed my attitude, and it's not because it was special, but it was a choice. And once again, it was a choice, or it was no choice for me. So I start developing those once again to survive and to be able to deal with the situation or the cards that life have dealt at that point for me. So
Amen.
It's just, my message is a message of, if it happens to me, it can happen to anyone, that you can overcome anything that life had thrown at us. And this is the PG-13 version of my story. My message right now, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this, is just to bring hope.
Yeah.
Because we all go through things. Even me, at this point that I have many blessings, life always are going to throw curves at us.
When you talk about God delivering, you say it with such confidence. Can you talk to me about that that confidence of, like, when is it God is delivering something that you're asking for, or he just gives you?
You know what? I think that it's not one thing. It's just because it has not been one thing. It's just being able to remember the basics of not knowing where I'm going to be next month, what is going to happen to me today in my new surroundings. So it was not, I feel the blessing happen in those moments, that many things could go wrong or could go even worse. And he have protected me, and he had open doors.
Yeah.
And so those are the blessings that I start counting. And to this moment, I just look at my surroundings and said, from a girl that didn't have a mother, a dad, that it was at one point by her own, being a very young girl, to I came to this country on my own. I paid for my own ticket. I did have family here, but we were not connected back then. So I can say that I lived my American dream, because to this day, nobody had handed me anything. Nobody had handed me a job. Nobody had handed me anything to say that, okay, I have this because it was given. I have work, but God has opened those doors. Yeah. And he had given me the wisdom also to pivot and to get into those opportunities, to be where I am right now.
That's remarkable. Yeah. And you know what? It's incumbent on the person, when God opens those doors, it's incumbent on the person to walk through them. And, it's really, that's the choice that you talk about. That's triumph right there. So let's talk about, some of the limitations of people sharing their story. You've done such a great job in being open. One thing I really admire as well is that you're breaking the cycle, that feeling of like, oh no, quiet. Don't show that you're not strong. Don't show that there's any vulnerability, because people feed off that. And sadly, that's not false. There are people that feed upon that. But if you can survive through it and actually come out on the other side stronger. So I appreciate that you are breaking that cycle to, teach your own daughters that, you embrace those hardships. You've been open and set the example of speaking about them openly. Do you think that we still have a very long way within, maybe like generally speaking, with women in general, to talk about vulnerabilities that we face? What are some tips, if you do think that, to make, like, what's worked for you to be open?
Right now, I feel that our younger generations are very bold. Even though they're vulnerable in certain ways, they're more bold, especially the women. I look at my daughters, and they're unapologetic. They just do whatever they believe that they need to do, and they're very strong.
That's great. But how much of that is because you're their mom?
I don't know where that came from, to be honest with you. I'm like, where did this girl came with this? So just to give you an example, my older daughter, she went to the military. Then she went to school. She paid for herself the military help as well, but she
went,
yes, so she stayed within the right path. She decided to move to Europe, to go to Spain to get her MBA, all on her own. I cannot say she did it all on her own because of the hard work, because she stayed on the right path. Mm-hmm. And she decided to travel the world. She has gone, I'm a traveler, and thank God I've been blessed that I've been able to travel a lot, but I think that she's gone to so many countries, and she's living, she's a young, beautiful, good girl. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of her. And my youngest one, she decided to move out of the state here. She recently graduated from high school. Yeah. And that's what she wanted to do. And I say, you do it, but you will be responsible for your own things. And she's like, I know, Mom, and I will. And I don't know where those girls get this strength from. Because
I think I can take a wild guess.
I don't know, but my point to this is that I've seen the younger generations being bolder. Mm-hmm. And they can feel a little more entitled as well, and maybe that's why, because we felt that I was very respectful. I think that the younger generations feel that they're more entitled right now, mm-hmm. that gives them the boldness to make decisions and take charge of their own lives. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I commend them for that. But it's a advice to younger generations. I would just say, just follow your dreams, follow your heart. Do not do anything to please X and Y. Do things because you're feeling overheard, that dream that God had put in your heart. that whatever you feel that it will make you happy, because we just have this life over here and we need to make the best that we can. And it's as fast as we can run to the path that we believe that where our happiness is less headaches we're going to encounter, and we're going to get there faster than if we deviate from what we really truly want. So that's, I guess, that would be my advice, because sometimes we make decisions to please others, to please society, and or to think because this is going to make us more money, or because this is what I should do. And yes, I think that good or bad, this younger generations, even I'm sharing this, I think that they have more boldness to make those decisions at this point, and I'm embracing that, and I applaud that, I guess.
I embrace it and applaud it too. And it's such good advice. You know, Paola, I feel like one of the biggest tragedies is when I see parents push their own personal agenda on their children. I think it's so cool that your daughter just, graduates high school and goes literally, thousands of miles to Hawaii. And I think that, that's great on you as a parent, because I know, look, when my children grow up and get to the point where they're leaving the home, of course I'm going to miss them. A lot of parents at times, children end up being like this self-service to them, and it's like they're living what their parents want them to do. And then this has happened to a lot of my friends actually. And now once they hit in their 40s, they're sort of mid-career, they end up having serious trauma about it, and they start thinking and questioning their whole lives. And it really F's with you big time, and, like, what a disservice. I always look at parents that do that, and, I'm not one to judge anybody for the decisions or how they raise their children, but like, please, parents, let your children be whom they are meant to be.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that is so true, what you just said, that you see that. And I think that for me is that I do not want to be the stone on their way to find their happiness. But I feel blessed that I can watch them doing whatever they decide to do. But at the end of the day, they know that they can come back to a safe place in case if it doesn't work. So for me,
I got chills. You saying that, I swear, the hairs on my neck just stood up. It's so true.
So I think that that's what has given me the strength, because I want them to find their own happiness on their way. But I know that I'm here if they need an arm or that safe space to come back to. So that's the only reason that I'm strong about just letting them be and be themselves.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's true. It's a safe space. You're always going to have that home base, but there's always an anchor, not one that's holding you down, but one that is always, is going to be there and reliable. And that, I think, would give such confidence to a child, that's about to embark on adulthood. So speaking of safe spaces, this is something you've also created in the business community.
Yes.
Talk to me about it. This is so important.
Yes. And I'm going to, since we're keeping it real, since you're making me open all this little...
No, you talk about doors opening.
Doors.
Okay, this is like, I'm opening. I'm not leaving any door unopened over here for you.
I know, apparently. So I'm going to be very bold about some decisions that I have made. And that includes that decision on, just starting this women organization, and some of the reasons why it was important for me to create a safe space. And so as a testimonial of my career, within my career, I had been in business development here in the United States for many years. And many times I belonged to many organizations, and I had been invited, or I go to different events that I have to. And of course, I'm exposed to a lot of people. And sometimes I just have been approached by the gentleman to let's get together to talk about business and let's talk about this because I'm interested about this or that. And you say, oh, absolutely. And then you go to a lunch or to an after hours to go sit down and talk about business. And then it ended up being for other reasons. Women in general had to deal with that. And when I start crafting the organization, how I start envisioning it, I wanted to create that safest space. When I mean the safest space is I want to create this community where women can come and go to great places, have a drink if we want to, have a nice dinner and dressed up as feminine as we want to, but not because we're trying to impress anyone or because we're trying to get business from anybody, because we're just going to be surrounded with other women, but that is because that's who we are. So I want to embrace to let's dress up, let's go have a drink, or let's just sit down and talk about business, life, and things. And that is what I call my safest place for my women, where we can come to really collaborate, be ourselves, but at the same time know that nobody is here with other hidden agendas. Of course, we want to collaborate. We want to help each other in business. We want to exchange ideas. We want to have a good time, but for ourselves. Why? Because within those years, when I started my career, once again, I was encountered of, hey, let's go and have a lunch, or let's meet after work. And so that's when I would have time to meet. And I would say yes. And then I found that was a waste of my time, knowing that I have girls at home that were missing their time for me being there. And I'm just wasting my time over here. Or I had deadlines that I need to meet. And I'm over here on the other side of the city doing this. So for me, I want to create that space where we can be ourselves, but really coming together with something to have a positive outcome that we feel that we meet what we were looking for. Even if it's not business related, it's a new friendship, a new connection, or just, of course, an opportunity for business.
I love that. And, you're paving the way for women leaders. And I wonder, these networking and engagement opportunities, I'm sure, you've met so many other women leaders as a result of this. On your podcast, I know you've actually highlighted so many women here in Chicago as well. By the way, what is the podcast? I will link it in the show notes.
Okay. It's called The Face of Chicago Business, and it's the face of Latina business. So you can find it over there, Paola Meinzer, The Face of Chicago Business, and you will find some of the podcasts that I have hosted. Like you mentioned, I have the privilege to host an interview that the Mexican ambassador here in Chicago, that Argentinian consul, the Chile ambassador, which is a woman, the consul was a woman as well. So I have the opportunity to meet wonderful ladies. And yes, once again, that the mission is to highlight all these wonderful women. And there are other women collaborating with this great podcast. So I'm just one of the collaborators for The Face of Chicago Business, which is the great host of this podcast.
I've actually listened to several of the episodes. I found there to be so much wisdom that I've personally gained. And I love the leadership skills that are shared in that. So on that question, you've interviewed many women leaders within the diplomatic community, the business community, and beyond. What are some of the common thread leadership traits that you've noticed about these women? What's something that they what's the secret sauce?
I mean, I think that is not, it's not just one thing. I think it's the combination of that resilience. I think it's the combination of want to make a difference. I think it is also just the strength that they have gained through their experience, I guess. So, I mean, I think that in general, it's just it's just the strength that comes within through their learnings, because I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, everything that we have gone through in life is to teach us something and make us stronger. And I think that when you use those learnings to help you to grow, that's when we continue going to the next level, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that just learning from experience make you wiser, like you were saying, to becoming wiser, and that's becoming smarter and stronger. So, but if you go through things, and this is once again over there just to share a couple words of wisdom, if you do not learn and you feel pitiful for yourself for circumstances that life throw you, that means you're not learning from them. And then you're going to have other things that are going to break you down. Yes. But once you learn from them and know that it's to help you to grow from them, then that's how you start going to the next level. So I think that it is kind of part of that. It's a choice that you have.
It's a choice. Yes. Oh, it is such a choice.
I guess that sometimes when you don't have a choice, then you don't have a choice. But it's sad when you have a choice.
Yeah.
And it's an option. And you do not take the step to move forward. It make it worse, I guess. And it's gonna make you continue going in those circles until you start growing from those and changing whatever you need to adjust to move forward.
So, we've covered a lot of challenges. I think one very important area that we have not covered, a lot of women are starting to talk about their relationships more openly, and failing at relationships. So, you're a single mom. I'm curious, what are the challenges of being a single mom? What's normal and not normal? Were you always ambitious even when you were separating and divorcing and all of that? Did you feel a little bit of stagnation? What was the normal experience for Paola when she was going through divorce? Wow. And what is the normal, everyone's different, I know, but it's a major life change.
So, I have to be fair. I was married to a really nice person, and I really care for him, and I know he really cared for me. But unfortunately, we were two different people, and I think that part of me that wanted to do more with my life, or I guess that I wanted to do other things to continue growing and learning and doing other things, kind of made me realize that we were two different people. And like I mentioned, he was a great person. I still care for him, and I wish him nothing but the best to his life. We're still very good friends, and I'm very happy for him. But realizing that we're very different people, because I wanted to do certain things with my life that maybe were not aligning with what he wanted as well, and he wanted to do some other things. So to answer to your question, I think that for me, I always have that curiosity and that desire, since I feel that I'm in a land of opportunities to make things happen and to explore and to continue growing, because we have this life, and if we don't do it right now, when are we going to do it? I tell people, when are you going to do it? What are you waiting for? Yeah. Christmas? It's just kind of what my saying, but in reality, it's really we need to move forward to those dreams that God put in our hearts. And we need to be truthful to where we are supposed to be, or we believe that we can accomplish, and we need to trust in that, in ourselves, and we need to push that. And it's sad to waste our life, like you say, just stuck in one situation, whatever it is. So I think that for me, when I made the decision to be divorced, I know that it was going to be more challenging because I was going to be on my own. But I know that I was going to follow my dreams and what the things that I wanted to do for me and also for my girls. And I guess that whatever brings you happiness, your kids are going to be, if you're happy or not. You can be in a marriage where you know that your parents are not happy, and that sometimes might not be the best example because you want them to be happy. So you can see, and think, am I going to advise this to my kids? Stay where you are and be unhappy, or, follow your dreams, right? And I think that sometimes we need to apply that to ourselves as well. So with that being said, I guess that for me, following my dreams and following what I think that God, the things that he put in my heart that I could accomplish or that I want to accomplish was important. One thing that it was very challenging and to keep it very real, I don't know if I was a super mom, because when you juggle it in different ways, you tend to also not be your best at everything. So just to be honest, I cannot say that I don't believe that I could perform the best in every area, but it was part of the process, right? So that's why right now I want them to live their lives, their best life that they can, and make them free to follow those dreams as well. So I don't know. In a nutshell, I think that we need to do whatever we believe that are gonna make us happier and make the ones in our surroundings happier, a better future for ourselves and for the ones that we love as well. So it's just part of self-care.
Someone wise has told me that particularly raising women, setting the example of what is acceptable and not acceptable to be treated.
And another aspect of it is that even if you do not share the situation or do not talk openly about the situation within the marriage, kids are not dumb. Do your best. It's okay. And to hold a family, it's definitely a priority. But at the same time, happiness within that home is also important because you want to create a good surrounding for your kids.
You mentioned about the need to prioritize, and that it sounds like when you are a single mom, you have to sacrifice. Perhaps one day you're sacrificing your social life, or you're sacrificing you miss a deadline at work or something like that. How open do you think women should be about, like, hey, listen, I'm a single mom, I'm not going to be able to meet this deadline? Where are the areas that you think would be okay or not okay to open up to your peers, or let's call it the stakeholder group that would be impacted by you being a single mom?
I mean, to be honest with you about what are the priorities, I think that unfortunately sometimes we give the priorities to the wrong reasons or to the wrong stakeholders, let's say. Meaning that looking back, I think, and it's like everything, just looking back, I think that I would rather to have missed many deadlines at work than not missing many games that my kids have or many performance because I have responsibilities. And I thought that the right thing to do was giving a priority to an employer, because now I turn back, my kids are adults, and I think that I heard this, and I don't know if I got inspired because of that when somebody's in their life, moments of life, they don't think about the awards that they won or those deadlines or anything. They think about the time that they could have spent with the people what they love.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so humble of you to be able to admit that.
And I do it for my kids because it's true. I know that might rush to make it happen to create a better future for me and for them. And yes, and thinking that I was being responsible. I feel that now looking back, I could have juggled it better, that giving that priority to them more than to those employees that at the end of the day, with all due respect, they would not care, or that would not be a breaking point, I guess. But we're trying to do the right thing, being the professionals. Yeah. But if we keep it real through life as well, just being humans, those are the moments also that are the most valuable that we're going to take with us. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm sure so many people do, because there's a lot to be gained there. And your ability to reflect on that and be vocal about it is very heartwarming. And I commend you for that. So I guess, in a similar fashion, and since we're speaking about reflection, if you were to reflect on your remarkable life, you're building a legacy for yourself, and certainly many Latinas are walking in your footsteps and on their path to build legacies of their own. In reflection, would you want to be a gray man or not a gray man if you could do it all over again?
Absolutely not. I couldn't. God had created me to stand up for what is right, or for what I believe, or for this to live this outstanding and different life that I have. And yes, I couldn't, because with whatever splash I create, if it can be something positive for anyone that can see or appreciate, that's already worth the effort to put yourself out there in whatever shape or form. Sometimes not always works the way that you want, but somebody, even if you touch one life in a positive way, just being outstanding and not invisible, definitely is worth the while.
Yeah, it's worth not being a gray man. Thank you, Paola. I really appreciate that. And I want to acknowledge you for all your successes, your triumphs, your faith, most importantly, and for continuing to open up those doors.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I am so excited about you doing this. Like you said, we got an opportunity, God, work in different ways to just connect from nowhere and just felt that deep connection. I'm just so proud of you, of what you're doing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I am very humbled to receive all those wonderful words about me. I mean, I'm not doing nothing different than many amazing women are doing there. I am in my corner right now, but I'm trying to do something with my time. But thank you so much for acknowledge that. But I just want to acknowledge all of those women doing even greater things. What you're doing, giving us a stage as well to share our story, it's also phenomenal. So kudos to you for that. And I wish you nothing more than continue being in front and bringing so many other people to inspiring us and we can learn from. So thank you so much for what you're doing and for having me.